Thank you so much for tuning in today in our Inspiring Individual series. Today we had Mr. Yun Shiang, who is the CEO of RawPoint, and he's actually been running RawPoint since 2009, whereby he's actually been running this company after working many years in several MNCs as well. For today, what I was hoping was probably to get a bit of an insight from you as to where you think positioning, branding, brand position, how you create even a brand is going to be important moving forward. And the audiences I'm looking at is basically the real estate agents, the property developers, but we won't go into anybody specific because I don't want to commit anybody and I don't want to commit as well. Yeah. But the idea here is that the importance of it doesn't stop because there's an MCO, CMCO, it doesn't stop. You can still do something. You can still do something to have top of mind recall. And I think the biggest worry I have is that a lot of people say, oh, now nobody can move. I won't do anything. Hanchin. But when things start, the momentum that you need to kick again is going to be up.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, there are research to prove that. One very interesting one, and interestingly, I was actually flashed the ad on the digital platform. Tourism Australia is running a lot of their ads, and essentially all the copies that I've been exposed to, they are basically saying, when all this is done, we actually miss you, remember us. And really that is what you can do. I have like personal friends who are deeply affected by the lockdown, and so the travel industry is badly hit. She has to close her office in Johor Bahru, release half the people here, the other half that she's keeping, they all have pay cuts. So that's how bad it is, right? And they are all thinking, okay, how do you do this? I think for a lot of companies who cannot move on, so there are like three types of companies, right? Those who are benefiting from it. So for example, online is very in now. Everybody is trying to get online, right? So those are the companies that can strengthen themselves and move forward, search forward. There are those that is kind of like in the middle, business affected, but you can still go on. So like retailers, right? You sell food, you can still run, but you're not running 100%. So you're kind of a little bit more flexible. You can do that. And then there is what those some experts call it freeze. You can't do anything at all. Right. Hotel, you can't move. So what is it that you do? I think across all three, there are going to be things that you can do. Obviously, some are tougher and more difficult because you don't have money coming in. But it doesn't mean that you cannot do anything, especially for those, of course, and I say this in a very objective manner, and I know a lot of businesses are hurting, right? Those with a little bit more deeper pockets, for example, even if it's at a free stage, you can do a lot of awareness, and research has shown across time, and this is like even back to the 1920s, people have done quantitative research to show you that during a downturn and during a crisis, when you spend substantially more, so in our language we call it extra share of voice, which means that if you take the share of voice across your industry, you will have a number. Based on that number, if you spend 10 to 15% above, right, across the span of a year to 18 months, you can actually get between 0.6 to 0.8% increase in market share. So it is proven. It's one of those things where do brand owners want to believe or not? Right? So people like to ask, oh, tell me, how does it work? Can you bring the equity? There are research to show it. The challenge, especially in the local, this market is concerned, right? There are not many management level decision makers level people who are willing to commit and say, okay, this is what I believe in and this is what I'm going to commit, right? Initially, when you tell them, in my personal experience, you tell them, okay, I buy into it. 6 months, 9 months down the road, they're like, okay lah, maybe, I will cut back and then see what happens. But it doesn't work that way. Branding is like a marathon. In fact, I would say it's an ultra marathon. You don't decide today you want to run an ultra marathon, train for 3 months and then say, okay, it's enough, I will try for the race. Or you say, I don't want to train for it, which means that you don't run the race, then you don't play the game at all.
No, but the fear is that, if, for instance, they don't see a tangible result within a certain period of time, then they may get hauled up by the bosses and say, hey, are you spending the money with ROI? And a lot of times, people are very afraid of money going out and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to stop. I completely agree with you. Branding is not, I do stop, then no need to do. It's continuous. So I think it's, as you say, it's an ultra marathon because there's no end. You cannot continues on, you see. So
correct. So
people are very worried. Yeah.
So I always liken it to branding is whether you liken it to either a good diet or a good exercise program. So you don't exercise for 6 months and say, hey, I lost weight already, I got my stamina, I built some muscles, okay, enough, I stop. And then you will regress, right? So you got to at least do a maintenance program. And I understand where you're coming from in terms of getting the sales and all that. I mean, we have all been in the shoes before. We have to deliver the numbers. I mean, even if you're a business owner, you still have to deliver the numbers. Again, there are tactics, there are strategies, there are things that you can do. So there is always the tactical part where you do, whether you call it the sales promotions and things like that brings in the sales. But branding is a long-term game. So the foundation is always that long-term game that you're going to do. So consistently doing it. Then you have that sales promotion thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's almost like eating your macronutrients very well. And then there is always that cheat thing that you want to do and all that, right? Or you say there will always be that running and weightlifting that you do. Then now and then you want to go and cycle and swim and all that. Yeah, it's okay. You know, it puts in the fun, it gets in the result, it keeps you going. So I think there are always a base and a formula or principles that you can follow. And advertising is not different from a lot of other things that we do, like whether you say it's exercise or diet or things like that. Yeah.
Oh, the part that I also have heard of late is that let others take the forefront first, because really don't know whether this is the time to start or not start. Let them try. Then we see what their result is, and then only we venture forward. But I think that if no one takes the first step, then everybody plays the second fiddle per se. So I think it's for the brave, and it's also not a question of brave. It's actually a question of this is the right thing to do. It has to continue. Being top of the mind, being able to convince that your client or potential client that you are still here, you are still going to be able to deliver. It's going to be so important rather than I follow. I think this is a good opportunity for companies to take pole position. What do you think?
Yes. In fact, you brought up a very, very important point. Do you know why? Because results. Again, going back to research. So these are all quantitative paper. I can't quote it offhand, but if people are interested, we can look it up. There has been research, quantitative research, to show the people who say let people go first and we will see what will happen. What will happen is this: the people who say let them go first, they will see results. So those people who say let them go first, they already save money. So your bottom line has already gone up because your cost has come down because you're not spending much, right? So you see immediate results, which is why a lot of people like to take that step. Go first, immediate gain already. In the long run is when it hurts. So for the people who are very short term, right? Very short term, very 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, that is the game that they will play, right? And they will win. I'm not saying that they will not win. If you want to win short term, don't spend. Let others go first. Now the others who go first, and you rightfully say they are very courageous, they are going against the grain, they are going against herd mentality. Most people will say, don't spend, right? Don't spend. The people who will spend, in the short term you will see a drop. But in the long term, they are actually gaining. And this is a very, very common thing for all those of us who are practitioners, who are seasoned marketers, who have done it for a very, very long time, right? We know that during the bad times, it's easy to get a bargain. So your per dollar share of voice is actually cheaper, right? Because you get media is willing to discuss with you. Okay, I'll give you more free things for the same dollar and things like that. Secondly, because of the people who say you go first, therefore the share of voice by total has come down, right? You used to have to spend $10 to get 10%. Now you spend $10, your share of voice is 15 to 20%. So you get that magical number, what we call ESOV, extra share of voice. So that extra share of voice, if you spend consistently, and that's how you gain market share. So in the long term, the people who say go first, you are actually losing market share. You gain short-term sales, long-term market share, you are going to lose. I don't want to mention brand names, but I have already heard some brands out there, they are announcing they are spending more. And these are the people who knows it. In fact, we were joking among some friends and all that. Consistently, even during the start of the MCO, I've been telling people, this is the time to spend. This is the time to spend. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. So I've got some WhatsApp and calls from some friends today. Don't spoil it for the rest of us who actually know what we are doing. Don't go and tell them to spend.
No. But do you think, Mr. Long, by doing so, the challenging part is that a lot of them are not very long-term mentality people. They're looking at 12 months, my bonus. 6 months, do I still have a job? Will my company's cash flow be able to sustain such a marathon investment? And if there's no returns, is my career on the job then as a failed marketer because I convinced management to spend, but they cannot see uptick in sales within the next 6 months? How do you balance the two? How do you advise the clients?
So everything goes back to objective, right? So to couple of things. Number one, your objective has to be very, very accurate. So we are talking in general now, right? So in general, every company will have their own sort of own set of challenges. For example, if cash flow is an issue with your company right now, obviously we cannot talk about long term, right? So conserving is important. It's almost like the body is now deprived of food, right? Then I can't tell you go build some muscles or in the long term it's going to be good for you. So obviously conserving energy is going to be important for you. So do that first, right? Now, if your company is on average, you're doing okay, right? You don't have a lot more money to spend, neither are you in dire straits, right? Then your objective is very different. You got to ask yourself, there is an opportunity out there, right? Am I long-term thinking enough and say that I'm in this for the long run, right? Am I going to try to win some market share because I know that my competitors are all going to cut back? So I play the long-term game, so I do the branding, the overall brand saliency across long periods of time, right? Then, obviously, every company needs the cash flow, needs the sales to come in order to run the engine, right? Whether it's RawPoint as a consultancy or any other company for that matter. Then do that sales promotion, do that short-term thing that you're going to do. All big companies, if I take fast-moving consumer goods companies, the big multinationals, you look at that's what that formula has always been. Branding at the very bottom of the foundation, keep brand saliency and awareness, and at the top, you will always have the promotion, whether it's the dollars off, it's the free gift, it's the purchase with purchase, it's a contest or a digital campaign or something, just to keep the excitement going, bring in the short-term sales to it. And that has always been the formula of a good marketing campaign, if you were talking in general, right? So, company that has no money, company that's average, and then a company that can afford to spend. If you are in that position, oh my God, it's the whole opportunity is there. You have the money, you are not hurt. If I run the company, I will up my spend by 15% share of voice, right? Because I believe in the number and I believe in the research that has been happening for hundreds of years, since 1927. The last research that I saw, 1927, people have been researching Great Depression, what happened to the companies that actually spent, right? So there's even a formula that can be calculated. So it's very technical, but it can be calculated. So you can actually get that. So if I'm in those companies, that's what I'll be doing. Because brand saliency, I like to use the Malay proverb, tak kenal maka tak cinta. In order to make a purchase, I must remember you first.
See, Mr. Long, what you say is very interesting because I could have said, hey, I already spent so much, people already know my brand. Now pause for a while. They're not going out anyways, right? Pause, drop my spend. Because I've already spent already, they know my brand already. So should this adage actually be of even any merit at all? And you're saying go even more aggressive right now because the last man standing, nobody else is doing it. Let's take the market now. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, correct. One exception can, but not many brands can do this. Okay, so building brand equity, that's why we use the term equity, right? Whoever that came up with the term, I think is brilliant. Brand equity, right? So equity is savings, right? You got to keep the money, that liquidity of the value of the brand, right? So if you draw, there is an equilibrium. If you spend 10% share of voice over time, you eventually get 10% share of market. Okay? Now, the curve goes like this. At the bottom end, all the weaker brands if you continue to spend slightly above share of voice, over time, it will get into an equilibrium. So if you consistently spend above, you have 10% market share, but your share of voice is always 15%. Eventually, you will get 15% share of market. Okay? The exception is this. Once you have reached the very top, so you are, say, for example, the top 2 brands, okay, whether it's a chocolate milk drink, it's an instant coffee, it's a shampoo, the top brands can actually afford to spend slightly less and still maintain market share. And the whole reason is because over the past 10 to 20 years, they have built such a strong equity. Even if I drop, people don't forget me that much. Don't forget me that much that it will hurt my sales. Right? But you have to get there. You have to get there. And the interesting part is this. If you look back, for those of us in the industry who has access to ADEX advertising expenditure, right? 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, look back into the ADEX now, right? So for example, from May to December 2020, you will realize that even those top brands in their category has either maintained their share of voice or they have actually increased it. Because, mark my words, all these are top players. They have top-notch marketeers running their business. They know exactly what to do. So even if they maintain, they know they are 15% above because the rest are cutting. You see? So there is no such thing. I'm there already. I don't have to. Goes back to, you have to maintain your health. This is what you have to consistently do.
So, Mr. Long, how would you advise someone that says, I tell you what, you get me the sales first, then I invest in marketing and branding lah. don't ask me to start first and then I do not know if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So if I get the sales, then okay lah, I do for you lah. So
yeah. So for clients who are more mature and all that, my answer is always this lah. You don't go to a doctor and say, hey, you heal me first, then I pay you. Or you go to a lawyer and then you say, you win my case, then I pay you. You pay for the professionalism, right? So you pay for the professionalism. So I give you the professional advice, right? We tell you this is proven. Right? It's proven. Of course, you take it in good faith that there are research data that comes out from all this. I mean, you can go to a Harvard Business Review, you can go to marketing journals and branding journals. These are high impact journals, okay? Right? So if you read all these journals and you say, I believe in quantitative research, a lot of companies do quantitative research. And these are research that is done by top-notch marketing professors and all that. There's no reason to doubt those, right? And a lot of these things has been done for years. For years. It has been used for many, many years, these formulas by all the excellent marketeers in the world, effective marketeers, right? It has proven to work. There is no reason to doubt it. It's just like using a old proven drug for diabetes or for high blood pressure. Some of these drugs has been around for 50, 60 years, but doctors is still prescribing it because it has worked. So the prescription that a lot of good consultants, branding consultants or marketing consultants that is saying, look, invest in your brand because these are proven. These are proven, right? Look, it's very simple. Watch TV today, read the newspaper, even on your digital, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you will see that all the top-notch brands are still spending. They are still spending. You got to ask yourself why, right? Now, then a lot of marketers will say, oh, they have the money, ma. Right? But in order to get there, think back. What did they have to do in order to get there? They built it. They built it slowly, right? I mean, most families in Malaysia would know of the chocolate milk drink that we grew up in, but when they first started, they just started in schools, and then they built from there, right?
So can I ask you, actually I'm interested to split that one comment off into two different directions, but let me just start off with the more layman, no money method. What do you think of guerrilla marketing per se? Do you think guerrilla shock marketing works to achieve the branding aspirations of a brand? And can that work better than paid marketing or paid branding? What do you think? Is that a long-term solution? Okay,
this is my view. If you have no money, that is the game that you have to play, then you have to play that game. I mean, downright to even example. I'm not saying go out and do it. Example, giving leaflets and things like that. In this type of cases, when you have no money, absolutely nothing, something is better than nothing. something is better than nothing. I'm not saying that don't do guerrilla marketing at all. I believe in guerrilla marketing. Every media, every tactic has a place in the plan so long as it fits in the strategy to achieve that objective. So you go back to what is the objective? Look, I am cash strapped. I have no business right now. I am running a chain of fast food restaurant that only has 3 branches. I cannot even afford 60 ringgit of Facebook marketing. So you do guerrilla marketing. I want to have a sandwich man underneath all the office towers that is nearest to my fast food chain. Go ahead and do it. Because that's how you can get your awareness. Right? So it's almost, if I use the analogy of a person, I don't make a lot of money. I make 1,200 ringgit after paying my rent and paying my motorcycle fuel and all that. So a person like this, can you save money to buy a house? Yes. You cannot save 200 per month, but you can save 20 bucks, right? So you save 20 bucks, that 20 bucks becomes 240 in a year, right? Then when you have 240, it will become bigger and then bigger. Brand equity is like that. Doing advertising or branding is like that. Start somewhere. The important thing is, one, start somewhere, two, be consistent about it and know that it is long term. So today I may be giving out leaflet and using sandwich man. As my business increases, I can now afford 20 ringgit of Facebook advertising. Do that. Right? And the wonderful thing about branding, or if I use a very common term, although I distinguish it very differently, whether I use branding or advertising, let's say advertising, right, is that the effects are compounded. If you do it every day, every month, every year, it builds on it, it builds on it, builds on it, and you become stronger and stronger and stronger. And you also become better and better at it. If you're the right kind of business person or marketer, you become better. You know what works, what doesn't work. Then repeat what works. Improve on what actually you can do better on. That's how it is, right? Yeah.
The second angle I wanted to look at is that if you were to do marketing per se, is there a preference or is there an ability to tell whether one particular medium is better than the next, or should you focus on only becoming really, really good at one medium only before you go on to the next medium? How would you advise clients to look at all these potential media? There's so many weapons.
Yes.
What do you start with?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the media mix, right? Interestingly, this is a very classic thought. And I buy into the classic thought mainly because it has worked for a very long time. It will continue to work. The first thing to remember is integration. We are all consumers. We are not media loyal. Consumers are not media loyal. I know a lot of people like to segment online, offline, through the line, right? Some of us like to joke. Does anyone know where is the line? No one knows where is the line.
Absolutely.
Now, yeah. Actually, the line, let me tell you, old school people will tell you, the line is actually called the commission line. It's a commission line.
Okay.
It's a commission line. It's a very, very old term.
Okay.
So when you say above the line, that means in the old days, the agencies actually get a commission.
Okay.
Below the line, you don't get any commission.
Okay. Noted.
Okay. So anyway, I digress. Now, so what is the media mix that you would use? There are so many. So should you be better at? Should you be very good at one? That's your question, right? So integration is always the best way. So you go back to who is your consumer? Who is your consumer? What is their media consumption habits? Right? So Pak Saleh is a satay retailer, for example, right? He has a shop. So if you're targeting a SME Pak Saleh type of consumer, what is a day in his life? What are the kind of media that he's exposed to? Of course, for those of us who has the budget to employ a consultancy and agency to work for you, they can run what you call the media consumption habits based on the profile of the target. Then you will know. But that, to me, we always say is a quantitative data, quantitative numbers, right? So I will tell you, someone like Ernest, you will be on social media. What are the type of channels on social media, right? What are the kind of papers that you would read, right? When do you use what kind of media? Then you choose based on that. is a good starting point. It's a good starting point. The short answer is never focus on one media. When you focus on one media, there are a couple of things that is happening. One is we always say CPM, cost per thousand, right? The cost of hitting 1,000 of your audience. Not all thousands are the same of quality. So cost per thousand on a favorite social media channel and cost per thousand if I were to buy into the Star, same cost per thousand, right? The quality is different. So that's where experience and expertise comes in. So it's not to be focused on one media. Always use an integration when your budget allows it. Obviously, if we go back to the worst case scenario, I only have this much. It doesn't allow me to buy TV. It doesn't allow me to buy newspaper. So what do I do? So anybody with a credit card can buy into Facebook, right? Then buy Facebook, right? So you're a real estate agent and you say, I only have this much money. Of all the property websites and aggregators that is out there, which is the one, in your opinion, is the best? If it's Star Property, then Star Property it is. Focus on that one. Again, build from there. As your business gets better, as you build relationship with Star Property people, for example, they will do more for you. You get better awareness, right? Then when you get better awareness, you can start to think, okay, what other media do I use? So always use integrated. Never soulless, especially when your budget allows for it, because your consumer doesn't just consume one particular channel. Of course, we can go deeper into it because you go into the affinity with that particular channel, whether they trust that channel or not.
Yeah, that leads me into the next question. Yeah, about trust. So absolutely about trust.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I buy because I hear the story, I like the story, I give you a try. But once I get the product or service, oh my lord, it's not what I thought it was. Then there's another round of very upset people at the end.